Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. How y'all doing on this lovely Wednesday afternoon? Last minute change of plans here. Yes, you did, or no, you did not hallucinate. Barry from Wolfman Scott Nards was originally scheduled to be on the show. However, he just ran into a little bit of an emergency, wasn't able to do it. So that's why we're running a little late here, putting together all the new intro, outro, all that kind of fun stuff. A quick thumbnail and a title for this video that vidIQ just absolutely hates. But you know what? Screw you, vidIQ. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. This is another edition of Late Night with the Davey Before Dark. Now, the idea of doing Before Dark is so we can have folks that are, you know, across the pond, like Barry and the guys from Twisted Locker. Maybe we even get a little Slaughtered Lamb action on here. And I would have just rescheduled this for, you know, a nighttime show, but I've actually got something going on this evening, and I'd already told you guys I was going to be live. So looks like we've got a decent amount of folks here tuning in the middle of a Wednesday. So I'm going to say what's up to everybody here in the chat. Now the computer might shake a little bit because I don't have my mouse with me. Actually, you know what? Let's see if I can get the mouse working well enough to do this. How about it? So we got Brett from Good Real Hunting saying, hey, everyone. What's happening, Brett? Hope you're doing well. One of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. And we got Eli Cortez, a pillar of the community and a Death Squad mod. How you doing, Eli? Great to see ya. We got Big Rod hanging out. Looks like Big Rod reviews. So Big Rod, did you start a channel? Or is that a written website where you do reviews? Let us know, man. We can share your shit. Like we always do with Dean Renner, who has a channel called Enter the Cinevault. Saying what's up. Yeah, I wish that wish Barry were able to make it, but you know, sometimes there's just more pressing matters. No worries. We are going to shelve that topic. We'll bring Barry back later on this month, and yeah, we'll have some fun today. Let's see here. Who else we got? Trisha McMasters, one of our great channel members. How you doing, Trisha? We got Gory Tiger. What's happening, Gory? Also, Brooke Scarlett, one of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. And we got Lamontre Gillard, a recent addition to the channel membership. Love seeing that. He was gifted a membership last time around. We've got Aaron Click in the house. All right. Hell yeah, Aaron. Great to see you. Trisha says, I'm having a tough day. So this is a perfect pick-me-up. Anyone else divorced or co-parenting with a monster? No, just me. Oh, that one hits a lot closer to home than you might know, Trisha. Yeah, it's been a rough patch for myself as well. So let's find a nice little healthy escape here and enjoy each other's company and talk some horror. So yeah, I mean, I'll say what's up to everyone else in the chat, but yeah, guys, I mean, didn't have much time to really put something together here, so I figured I'd sort of catch you up on what I've been watching lately. And you know, if you have any questions, I mean, really. Not really like an ask me anything, but I know a lot of times we hop in here and people want to talk about, you know, something that might be a little off topic. So this is the perfect kind of live to where nothing is really off topic. If you want to ask me a question of, you know, what do I prefer, Richard Brooker Jason or Ted White Jason or something, you know what I mean? Like whatever kind of horror Q&A that you guys have for me, load those up and send them on over. Yeah, Trisha, it's been rough. I'm so happy that I have an awesome support system in my family. And, once like, you know, I've just have kept stuff pretty close to the vest, but once the dust is settled here a little bit more, you know, I'll kind of catch you guys up on what's going on. But I think the big positive that I'm taking away just from, you know, everything that's kind of been going on in my life is, man, I have an awesome family. Like I have an incredible support system that is just there for me no matter what. So I hope that, you know, whenever you guys are going through stuff in life that you've got that support system. And if you have a tough time finding that, then you can come on over here because that's a big part of what we pledge to do here in this community is be there for each other and lift each other up and celebrate each other's wins, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, you'll see I'm in my traveling studio right now. I should have everything kind of up and running and looking a lot more familiar here by just past mid-February. So give me some time, and we'll be back in business. But until then, the show must go on. And like I said, doing this channel, it's a healthy escape. So something I definitely need for sure. Let's see here. Who else do we got? We got Cody Snyder. What's happening, Cody Snyder, one of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. We got Bill Frickenstein from the Everscathed. What's happening, Bill? Hope you are doing well, my good man. We got Gina, my chunky Geordie, hanging out across the pond there. Love to see it. Looks like Barry is going to make it. All right. Hell yeah. Okay. So when Barry makes it in, we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and change everything back once the stream is all done. And yeah, Barry, just pop on into the the studio in the background, and we'll get you loaded up when you're all set, man. Hell yeah, that's good to hear. I know any stuff with vehicles, it's like you just never know how long it's going to take, Let's see here. We got Jamie Hart, our original Death Squad mod and channel member. Hope you are doing well, Jamie. Let's see here. My chunky Geordie saying what's up. We got King Matthew the Third saying, sorry I'm late to the stream. No worries, King Matthew. We are just getting going and saying hello. So yeah, no worries at all. Just want to make sure we're saying what's up to everyone. Davey, have you seen Last Straw? It's on Shudder. It was pretty good. Saw it last night. I haven't even heard of that movie, Aaron. So yeah, I got to go check that one out for sure. Last Straw on Shudder. I did recently see Cuckoo, and I watched the second season of Castlevania Nocturne. So I was going to talk to you guys about, all that kind of stuff, but we'll just see, if Barry pops in here, we'll get Barry in and we'll start talking, 90s movies and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and see who else we've got in the chat. We got Paula Fitzhenry. What's happening, Paula? So great to see you. Gene Whitacombe. Love to see you popping in there, Gene. Trisha says, if I may share, God works in the most rad and epic ways. The best is yet to come. But unfortunately, I had 3 kids with my ex, so hard days tend to be scattered in there. I'm so sorry to hear that, Trisha. But yeah, just leaning on that faith and leaning on my family for sure. Oh, thank you so much, Jamie. Yeah, we can catch up offline for sure. What's happening, Gary? Great to see you. Hope you are doing well. I do not mind if you hang for a few, Paula. All are welcome. And yeah, Trisha throwing some love to Jamie for our Evil Dead discussion that we had just last Friday. That was a lot of damn fun. So we're setting up a part 2 of our Evil Dead discussion. We got through the first film through Army of Darkness, so we're all good there. And then Jamie has to watch Evil Dead Rise, and we're gonna be able to talk about 2013's Evil Dead Rise, and of course, the Ash versus Evil Dead television show. And look at that, I see Barry getting everything set up and good to go back there. Speaking of Evil Dead, he's got a great Evil Dead poster there behind him. And yeah, Barry, whenever you're all set, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and we can have a fun little chat, guys. I would imagine a lot of you guys grew up with like high school age, or grew up with those 90s, early 2000s movies that we're seeing have that resurgence. We're getting that new I Know What You Did Last Summer film coming this summer. We're getting a new Final Destination film. And of course, Scream came back a few years ago and is still going strong. So yeah, we're rocking and rolling here. Okay. Let's see here. Can't tell Barry. I can't tell if Barry is frozen back there or if he's just very still. Jamie says, I had fun even though I was a nervous wreck. I couldn't even tell. I could not tell. Jamie didn't seem nervous at all. I know your camera just had the issues, but whatever. Yeah, we'll get past that. What do you think of Mark Consuelos joining the cast of Scream 7? I just don't even know what to think. I try not, certain bits of movie news intrigue me. I know I've covered some, movie news here on on the channel. Sometimes though, when it's something like that, I'm like, yeah, he can have like a 30-second scene. He's basically just like a celebrity that they're going to throw in there. I don't even know if he's really like an actor. I know he's married to Kelly Ripa, but I don't know anything about the guy other than that. So those bits of news, I'm more interested in like, gosh, I don't know, a teaser trailer or a little bit more on, what's actually going on with the story there. So let's see here. Looks like, yeah, I can't tell if Barry's actually back there. It looks like he is frozen. But Barry, if you are back there, then feel free to let me know in the chat. What's happening, Jordan Decker, one of our great channel members? How you doing, man? Hope things are going well for you. Ah, he's a soap opera actor. He was in Riverdale. Okay. Yeah, I missed out on that show. Yeah, I at this point, like I said, he could be in the, Linda Blair was in the first Scream for like 5 seconds. So when people get mentioned as being cast in a movie, I'm just sort of like, well, let's wait and see how much they're in there, Let's see here. Gina says, I grew up in the 70s, 80s. I was a teen in the 90s, and by then had seen most banned UK videos. Yeah, you guys really, you really went hard on the video nasties, out there in the UK. Barry is ready. Okay, it looks like the video's frozen, but maybe if I bring you in here, Barry, it'll all clean up. Riverdale is a lot like Twin Peaks and even shares an actress. Oh, shoot. All right, let's see. Looks like I missed something from King Matthew. I've seen people respond to it. Hope you feel better, Davey. I'm also going through a lot since I just lost my grandpa to a heart attack. So your channel is helping me get through depression. I'm so sorry to hear that, Matthew. It's never easy. You can sit there and prepare yourself to lose people in your life, and never makes it any easier. I'm so happy that the community and the channel can be here just to give you a break from all of that. And of course, all the love and condolences to you and your family. Thinking about you guys. All right, let's see if we can bring Barry in on here. I'm gonna add him to the stage. I'm curious to see. Boom. Barry, are you there? I'm not able to unmute the mic. Let me see here. Barry, I think if you're able to exit the studio and come back in, because I'm just seeing a frozen image and then it's not letting me unmute the mic there. So I just want to make sure that we're able to get you back. So you may have to leave the studio and come back on in. Just let me know. Yeah, this show, Bill, is more PG rated. Every now and then I drop a bad word or two. We'll see. I never trust Jordan. I don't trust Jordan any further than I can throw him as far as how dirty this guy can get at any given time. Slasher Fred says, speaking of Twin Peaks, the cult classic movie Blue Velvet can be seen as an inspiration. Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same director, right? So I don't know about an inspiration, but definitely coming from the same well, for sure. What's happening, Frank? Great to see ya. Hope you are doing well. Look at that. Goodreal and Jamie working on a Twin Peaks stream. Should be a lot of fun. You want me to be rated R? Yeah, you guys be rated R in the chat, and then I'll just let it flow naturally. So if it's natural for me to drop an F-bomb, then so be it. All right, looks like Barry is coming back in. And it may be the internet connection in my traveling office is not as strong as it used to be at my previous studio. Jordan says, Bill, I change for no one. Fair enough. Okay, looks like Barry is rocking and rolling. I see movement. I love seeing the movement. All right, let's just make sure he's all good to go. You guys. Yeah, Jordan says, Jamie, I make no promises. I'm trying to click on it, but it's not really loving me right now. Let's see here. I don't think Scream is. I don't know if maybe they have started filming. Yeah, maybe. Barry, it looks like you're all good to go. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, folks. Thank you so much for chilling with me here for about 15 minutes. So pumped that that Barry could make it here. And you know, you guys have heard me talk about this guy before. One of the biggest inspirations for me starting my own channel. I've been watching Barry for almost 10 years, probably very, very soon after he started or really started getting going with the YouTube channel. And yeah, I mean, you know, what else can you say about Barry? No one handles a troll quite like Barry. I've never had a tough time understanding him, but apparently the trolls just maybe they like having their asses handed to them by him, because it seems like that's sort of become his side hustle is you know, beating up on the trolls. And I'm super pumped. We're about the same age, so you know, we grew up with these movies that we're going to talk about. You know, this resurgence of 90s and early 2000s horror films that are coming up. So let me see if I can get my my mouse to behave here. I'm going to go ahead and add him to the stage if I can. There we go. And everybody, we got Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards. What's happening, Barry?
Hello. Sorry, is that a mic test? Is my mic working here?
Your mic is working. It sounds great.
Perfect. It seems like I'm finally up and running then. Oh, that was an absolute nightmare. I don't know if you told the guys what happened, Davey, but it was like a nightmare. I'll just tell you first. Hi, guys. Me and my sister were over at my mum's house, seeing my mum, and as I said to my sister, right, I need to get back because I'm doing a live stream. Halfway on the way home, she went on into a pothole on the road and burst her tire. And I was like, oh no. So we had to wait for her husband to come and get us. I get back here and they've phoned the whoever it is, the services, to go and collect the car. Absolute nightmare, but I made it back, so I'm finally here, David. I didn't want to cancel. I know that sometimes we can reschedule things, but I was really looking forward to this one. We've got lots to say about the 90s slasher movies, so I needed to get back for this. So thanks for having me, Davey, and thanks for everyone who was very patient and listening to Davey for 15 minutes trying to delay it.
Of course, man. Yeah. I'm glad you could make it. It's usually you just never know. It's like going to the doctor or going to a government building when you need to do something with a vehicle. It's like you just never know how long it's going to take. So I'm glad everyone's safe first off, and of course that you're able to make it back. You know, I wanted to have this. I'm you know, trying to think of a good topic to chat with you about, and of course, like, you know, you cover so much on your channel. So I'm sitting there thinking of topics, going over to your channel, typing it in, just making sure it's something that you haven't done to death before. And I know that you have talked about these, you know, 90s and, you know, of course, early 2000s, you know, horror films. But I was like, man, we're seeing this resurgence. I thought it would be fun to sort of talk about, you know, the upcoming, I know what you did last summer. Final Destination is making its return. Of course, Scream is, you know, kind of come back in the last few years. And then, you know, maybe looking at some franchises or one-offs that we'd like to see come back, maybe a legacy sequel or two. So, you know, I know you're a big fan of, you know, you're big into Scream. And you know, I feel like when you did your Scream 6 review, everyone thought that you absolutely hated the movie just because you were fairly critiquing it.
Yeah.
That's the
hated it, you know.
That's the funniest thing about, you know, doing reviews and being honest about how you feel on a platform like YouTube is people just kind of take something and run with it. Now, as far as what you're seeing about Scream 7, I guess we could just sort of start there. Like, when you're, you know, how excited are you for Scream 7? Do you think it's going to be like a return to form with bringing Nev and Kevin Williamson back? Are you sort of kind of more of a let's wait and see? You know, what are your feelings there on Scream 7?
I feel like it could go either way. Like, one way I'm thinking it's possible that they're just going to rinse and repeat over and over again. Even when Sydney was in the movie, in Scream 2, Scream 3, and Scream 4, it still felt a little bit rinse and repeat. Of course, when you rinse and repeat Scream 2, it's fine because we're enjoying it at the time. But there's only I've done a video on this today. There's only so many times you can do the same thing over and over again and bring in new characters, and we have to guess who the killer is, and then we find out their motive behind what they're doing, and that is we just wanted to be famous. We wanted to copy the copycats. So it has to get to a point where you're like, we need to do something different because Sydney's coming back. There has to be a reason for Sydney to be even present in this film. If someone's coming after Sydney, if it's another copycat, I'm out. So I feel like it has to be someone that Sydney knows. I don't mean a long lost relative like Roman. I mean, someone that we know, that she knows, maybe a past character, whether they possibly died, like Stu. I know everyone talks about Stu. Whether there's someone like Stu, like a past killer, or a previous character that didn't die, a survivor like Kirby, Martha, possibly Mark Kincaid, one of those characters coming back and then them being the killer. So it's a bit of a stretch, but it's something new. So when it comes to my excitement for Scream 7, I guess I can only be excited when I see a trailer or a poster or some behind the scenes images, official ones. So I can say to myself, does it look like they're going the same route or are they changing it up? And I know that Scream has a formula and it works, but there's only so many times that you can use that same formula and get bored of it. And I think that's one of the issues I had with Scream 6. I liked what I saw, but I knew exactly what was going to happen before it happened because we've seen it over and over and over again. That's my biggest negative with Scream 6. So if they do the same as Scream 7, it's not going to be good. But I don't know. But what do you think?
I'm excited that Kevin Williamson is coming back. I think that, obviously Nev wanted to be paid fairly. It's one of the reasons why it was reported that she didn't come back for Scream 6. But I just have this feeling, it's just a gut feeling. I don't have any insider info. I just have a feeling that one of the things she put on the table was, I also want Kevin back to direct. Like, you have to pay me fairly, and we would need to bring in Kevin, because she said that that's something that they always talked about when they were making the previous films that he was a part of, that it would be fun for him to actually get to make one with her at some point. And, it's been a long time. What was the last thing he directed, Teaching Mrs. Tingle?
That was the only thing he directed. Yeah, it was the only thing.
Okay. So, it's like, who knows? Hire a good cinematographer, just know how to communicate with your actors what you want, and that's what could make a really good director. I'm more concerned about the fact that the same guys that wrote the last couple movies wrote this one, and I hope that he steps in and sort of, even if he doesn't put his name on it, I hope that he touches up the script and fixes some of the nonsense, because I do think some of the writing has been in Scream 5 and 6.
You know the famous scene now in Scream 6 when Mindy's talking about the rules of a sequel, and she's like, we're in a franchise, meh, meh, meh. And we're like, oh my God. I think if the writers do similar, then, which they probably will because it's the same writers, I think Kevin will look at that and go, right, okay, it's a little cheesy, but I think we can maybe change it to make it look more dramatic or something good. We can turn that mediocre script and story into something really good on screen. So I think that's my biggest praise that I can give any of them in Scream 7 is the fact that they're bringing Kevin Williamson in, because he knows what works. He knows what dialogue is in, because you've seen it in the films that he's helped. I know he didn't write Halloween H2O, but the dialogue in Halloween H2O was just quick, whippy, and you're like, whoa, and you felt like you were part of that group because they spoke the way you spoke. So maybe with him being there, it's going to be a benefit to it. Because I think if he was directing Scream 6 and he read that, we're in a franchise, he would be like, no, it's not happening. So hopefully with him coming directing, he can be part of the writing team as well to go, right, let's get our asses in gear.
Yeah, he's got to kind of reel it back in, I think, and bring something to us that's hopefully a little more familiar to what we got in the first 3 to 4 films. He didn't have a part in 3, but he came back for 4. Is that right?
Yeah, 1, 2, and 4.
Okay. And I really love Scream 4. I'm one of those guys that like I know the visuals, yeah, it has that weird soft lens in some of the shots. I don't think it's in the whole thing. But I love like I just love the way they took the story, and it felt like Wes sort of almost reinvented, you know, he already reinvented the slasher subgenre with the first Scream, and it felt like Scream 4 was sort of reinventing Scream, you know, sort of updating it. It was the most like brutal and bloody one he had ever done. Yeah, I think my biggest fear though, Barry, is fucking Stu. Like, I really don't want them to bring Stu back because I just feel like that. Like, no matter what, I would walk out of the theater and be like, "What the hell?" You know. How do you feel about? Do you want Stu to come back? Do you think there's a way they could even do it that would be like plausible?
Oh, of course, absolutely plausible, especially in the Scream franchise. When you saw Chad getting stabbed 350 times and he's fine. You saw Mindy rip up stabbed in the gut. Kirby was killed in Scream 4, technically, and she came back. I think it's very plausible for Stu to come back and survive those injuries. However, I know that people would say, well, let's assume that he survived. Where has he been for 25 years? Well, if you're looking at someone, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in the UK, for someone who, if there's no evidence of him killing anyone and it's only against Billy, if he's an accomplice to Billy's plans, it's possible that he gets 25 years in jail.
Sure.
And he's out. Yeah. So those 25 years could have been and gone now, which they have done. So he could easily live his life. I know. And then the next thing people would say is, why did they not talk about Stu being alive? Well, they don't talk about Stu being dead because in every single movie up to Scream 6, not including Scream 6, anytime they talk about the previous killers, they always say Billy's dead, Billy Loomis is dead. They never ever mention Stu being dead until Scream 6 when they question if he's alive, never mind dead. So it's trivial for Scream 6, but anything before Scream 6, it was always alluded to Billy being for definite dead, which of course he is. I believe Stu could still be alive. And if he comes back, I'll be happy. If he doesn't come back, I'll only be happy if they replace that idea with something just as good or better. So I don't mind if he doesn't come back. You know, I said he should come back for Scream 6. And then when he didn't, I get people coming to me in my DMs and saying, haha, you lose. And I'm like, what? Like, why? It's like, Stu's not my friend. Like, if he comes back, if it does, great. You know, it's no skin off my nose. Yeah.
And he, you know, like Jamie says here, he got a CRT TV dumped on his head while it was plugged in. So I have a hard time getting past that. And I guess, in movie logic, they could do whatever. I know Scream tries to be grounded. It tries, to exist in our world. But yeah, I mean, and Stu could have even pled insanity and been in a mental institution like Michael Myers, just waiting for the perfect time to break out.
I know that Jamie mentioned the CRT monitor. Now, obviously, with the work that I do, the job that I do, not on YouTube, with my actual job, we've seen worse things falling on people and they survive and walk away from that. So it's possible that he would still be alive. But again, if you look at a grounded movie like John Wick falls from a 20-story building and survives. So in a movie world, it's absolutely plausible. And in fact, in a movie world, if someone gets hit with a CRT TV, you're going to bet your bottom dollar they're coming back. So it's not beyond the realms of, like, for example, Michael Myers getting his head chopped off in H2O. He's not coming back from that. That's why they have to retcon that. And it's the same with Halloween Ends. Michael Myers isn't coming back from that unless they retcon it. So there is realms of realism. And I think with Stu surviving that, that's still realistic in not just the movie world, but a horror movie world. So I believe it's possible. But if it doesn't come back, I won't cry. I'll be fine.
Yeah, and it's, you wonder... Yeah, usually we get that opening scene where somebody gets, we get that opening kill scene. I mean, I know in Scream 5, it's like teased as a kill scene and it's not that. We could get an opening scene in Scream 7 where somebody busts Stu out of someplace. You know what I mean? Like we could get a little bit of a different flavor. I wonder if they'll do that here. Daniel from the Cobwebs channel says, great to see Afternoon Lives. What's happening, Daniel? Anyway, I'm absolutely pro Stu's return and really Matthew Lillard being in anything. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Matthew Lillard. For me, it's not about that. But yeah, I don't know. They would have to do such a good job of weaving it into the story. It's possible, for sure. And yeah, shout out to Daniel. He's crushing it over on the Cobwebs channel. If you guys don't sub over there, you got to go check him out. I think just passed 50K just a couple weeks ago. So congrats there, Daniel. Love what you do, man.
Congrats.
Yeah. And let's see. Fan. He is a Stu fan. Yes. Matthew Lillard, especially back then, it was, I mean, even seeing him in Hackers like a couple years before. And then like, I love SLC Punk. It's, one of my favorite movies. Yeah, he's just got that energy. He's got that wild, like, Jim Carrey kind of energy that a lot of people had back then.
Yeah. And the first movie he was in was Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. And again, he was a standout in that. He was just a background character, one of the guys that hang about. But there was something about him that you would always go, he's going places. And he did.
Yeah, he's in She's All That with my girl Rachel Lee Cook. Absolutely love that movie, and he's wildly hilarious.
Curve. Have you seen Dead Man's Curve?
Yeah, I think is that one that's got a couple different names? I think I have seen that.
I think it's called The Curve in some countries as well.
Yeah. I think I saw that way back, like DVD or maybe even VHS back in the day.
Oh, we could have spoken about that tonight because it is classified as a 90s slasher movie. But
are they? Is that one that you want to bring back? Do you think they should bring that one back?
I would absolutely bring that back. Yeah, it's the old urban legend of if your roommate kills himself, you get a automatic 4.0 GPA and you pass your exams. So they try and plan to kill one of the roommates in order to pass their exam. That's funny because then MTV did that Dead Man on Campus movie with Mark Paul Gosselaar where they try to like a comedy version of that. You know? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm from Scream TV show as well was in it. The dad, Tom Everett Scott.
Oh yes.
Well. Yeah.
Oh man, the first couple seasons of that Scream show I really liked. I know it's a totally different story, but I really dug that one. Like, and I'm not really that big of a TV guy, but I loved the way they weaved that plot together. And what's her name? Is it Willa Ford?
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. Yeah, she's awesome in there.
Willa Ford's a pop singer.
Yeah, she had like one song back, probably right around the time these movies were coming out.
You must have loved it because you remember her name.
Oh my god, I don't know what it is. I think it's Mandela effect, Barry.
Yep.
So yeah, Scream 7. I guess it's yet to be seen. They really haven't given away too much of anything at this point. Really, it's just been, this person's signed on, this person's signed on. Where it doesn't sound like we're getting Mark Kincaid back. However, he could come back. Yeah. And, we got Joel McHale coming in as Mark II. So that'll be interesting. Scream is one of those franchises. It's so solid. I'll always be there until they drop like the epic stinker. And I don't think that Scream 7 is going to be the epic stinker.
It can't be bad. I think the worst film in the franchise is watchable, which to me is Scream 6.
Yeah, me too.
It's watchable and it's good. So, and if I'm watching the Scream movies, I won't skip any because they are all really rewatchable as well. So I'm looking forward to Scream 7 regardless. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to love it automatically. They have to earn that from me. I'm not going to blindly say that I love the movie just because it's a Scream movie. And I felt like I had to be 100% honest when I saw Scream 6 because I remember I came out the cinema from Scream 5 and I'm like, that was really good. I thought that was excellent. And then I felt like I was going to have that same experience with Scream 6, but I came out the theaters like, nah, there was something missing there, and I just couldn't quite figure out what it was until I watched it a couple more times. And I'm like, it's that script, it's the dialogue, it just doesn't work for me, and the
Yeah.
repetitiveness of the story. So change it up, and I think we're in for a winner.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea of having like a two-parter or like a real cliffhanger where we don't find out who Ghostface is, or if there's more than one Ghostface, that one of them gets away? Do you think that would be a way to kind of shake it up and keep it fresh and not be so rinse and repeat?
See if they done rinse and repeat. They gave us two new Ghostface killers of two new characters that we didn't know about until now. And then they got revealed at the end of the movie, or one of them gets revealed at the end of the movie and the other one gets away. Even though it's rinse and repeat, they still managed to do something different at the end. I would accept that, so that we know that there's another Ghostface out there that we will see in the next movie. I would be happy with that, yeah, for sure.
And man, I mean, how many YouTube content creators will be pumped about that? Because it would think about all the speculation, just for talking about it for a year or two about what's really going on. It would, I think that would be like, when I think about it from their perspective, I'm like, guys, that would be the smartest thing you can do, because then all the people on YouTube are going to sort of do all the advertising for you by talking about it nonstop for a year and a half straight,
Yeah, they know that as well.
Yeah, Sister Pam would have a field day with it. She'd be all over that, and rightly so.
Live streams every day, and she'd be like, "You."
Yep, hell yeah. Well, moving on to one of the movies that's coming out this year. We've got a new I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I'm pretty lukewarm on this franchise. I don't think I've seen the third movie. I've only seen the first two. Those are the only two that are really like canon to me. And like, it's okay. It's just like Scream light, like nothing too exciting, but also like kind of bubblegummy and easy to digest. What are you expecting from this legacy sequel, and what do you think the chances are that it's going to be good?
Again, it's another one that could go both ways. I didn't watch the TV show from a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
Apologies for Gen Z in the chat, but it was too Gen Z for me, and it's not my style. So when I found out that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt were coming back for this, I was excited. But then I heard that they weren't getting big roles in the movie, and that Jennifer Love Hewitt was trying to fight for a bigger role than just a cameo that she was shooting for.
Yeah.
Again, it just depends how that works out. So you've not seen the third one then?
No, I've watched reviews of it. It sounds like it's just total garbage.
It's an absolute masterpiece. You need to watch it. I'm only joking. But it's more supernatural. It's dog shit. It's really bad. Yeah. Really, really bad. Yeah, you don't watch it because you're not missing out. But I think I'm the only one that said this from what I can see is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and that's no joke. Like, I absolutely love that movie, almost as much, probably just as much as the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm one of the ones who didn't care for I Know What You Did Last Summer when it first came out, and I think it's because I felt like it was trying to be too much like Scream. But every time I watch that movie, I fall in love with it even more. There's that 90s teen slasher charm that we'll discuss throughout the chat. Anytime I turn that on, I actually feel it in here, and I feel like I'm back in the late 90s again, watching them on my old TV in my bedroom, and it brings back so many memories. So I'm definitely 100% clouded by nostalgia. I know they're not perfect movies, but that's the charm for me. If I switch on a 90s teen slasher movie, I'm always going to be biased towards it because I grew up in that era, and I loved horror films already, but that just elevated me into that stratosphere of the horror genre, all thanks to movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream and other ones that we'll discuss. So you're not really 100% on I Know What You Did Last Summer movies then?
I just think they have a lower ceiling. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't expect as much from them, and I'll revisit them. I've probably seen those first two, maybe 3 or 4 times each, something like that. Like, I went and saw them both in the theater, back in high school. I think, like, The second one for me, what I do appreciate about it is it just sort of gets going a little bit quicker. And I love the rain. I love like the storm on the island and all that. There's something about just it having a little bit of a different feel. And man, I mean, Jennifer Love Hewitt is absolutely gorgeous. So I don't mind like watching her run around and shout. And, you know, she's quite busty and petite. So those are things that are sort of, you know, just kind of throw you for a loop when you're 16 years old. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, and especially with the Legacy sequel coming back, I'm like, even if it's like good for what I Know What You Did Last Summer can be, I don't know if it can ever really like break past a certain point. Like, I don't know if like the best it could be maybe would be like a B+ for me. I don't know if it can, like, I would be like, if I watch that movie and I walk out being like, whoa, that was really good, I will be, you know, absolutely surprised.
Yeah, I think if this movie breaks $100 million at the box office, that will be a major success, because they're not, you know, they don't look like $100 million movies anymore. So it's only like really like movies like Scream and Halloween that can do numbers bigger than that. So if this movie is successful, it will be based on the box office that it makes, and I think if it makes over 100 million, then we can expect more.
Yeah, that would be, man, that would be quite shocking. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I hope for success for anyone out there making movies. So if it kicks off another, you know, 2 or 3 movies, whatever they've got, then cool. It seems like everyone is sort of, you know, once Halloween did that, you know, return with 2018, it seems like that was sort of the, okay, like what else can we bring back in this vein? And maybe even like movies like Rocky and Rambo should be credited for starting off like the Legacy sequel craze. But when I think about horror, I just think about how successful Halloween 2018 was, that just, you know,
well, you look
popped
at
the whole thing off.
When you look at Legacy sequels, it's quite ironic. Is it ironic that Halloween 2018 started the craze in 2018? However, it was a previous Halloween movie that really started that, and that was Halloween H2O. That was a Legacy sequel.
It was, so, yeah, and in
between.
Yeah, exactly. And no one used that term then. You know, it was one of those things where, and it didn't like become a trend, but now we're seeing like this trend, this full on like, all right, let's just dive into that nostalgia. Let's make sure that those people in their 40s have something to spend their money on and try to get their kids into, like, all over again.
That's us.
Exactly. Yep. Real quick shout out to Leanna Bevy Rage, one of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. She gifted 5 Davey Deathray memberships. So let's see here. Wayne Turner, Brother Fluff Salisbury, Dark Room Reviews, Manny's Manic Media, and Brandon Collins were all gifted channel memberships. Thank you so much, Leanna. Really appreciate you.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
For Jamie. Jamie, did you see Halloween H2O in the cinema? Tell me.
I'm surprised she hasn't said that yet. Usually she jumps in there right away.
I'm guessing it's like yes.
She's seen everything in the theater. Yeah, and she says back then they were called comeback sequels. Yeah, that was my first experience with Halloween in the theater was H2O. I was so pumped for that.
I was too young. So in the UK it was an 18 and I wasn't 18 yet. And yes, you did. I
think I had to have, it was one of those where, yeah, I was like 16 and a friend's mom got us in. Because it was rated R out here too. I'm like, what is it? Why is it really rated R? I don't know if that movie would be rated R by today's standards. No, I'm trying to like, there's no nudity, right? I guess there's some language. There's just some F-bombs, stuff like that.
Yeah. Maybe the finale with the head chopping scene. Don't know.
It's like the cleanest head chop I've ever seen in my life, right? If that were a Terrifier movie, it would have taken like 3 hacks and we would have seen the whole thing all close up. But
how cool would it be to see the head getting chopped off and the blood squirting on Laurie's face and just rolling down her face? No, that's rated R.
Would have been great.
Yeah,
that would have been great. I wish they'd done something like that. It's H2O. I know you're a massive fan. We've talked about that movie on your channel, and I don't have any hate for it. But it is sort of just right in the middle for me as far as the franchise goes. But I'm a big fan of the David Gordon Green movies. So they sort of squeeze their way into my top 5, even with all their flaws, and they certainly do have their flaws.
Yeah, everyone. Yep.
Yeah. So, I know what you did last summer. I'm just sort of like, again, like, kind of like what you're saying with Scream. It's like, how are they going to, what are they going to do with the fisherman killer? Is it just going to be someone's kid that's related to, those guys all over again? Or is it just going to be somebody that has nothing to do with it, that's seeking fame? It'll be interesting to see how they do that.
I feel like it's going to be a brand new story because with the original film, it's I Know What You Did Last Summer, so it's the events of the previous summer. So if it's going to be called I Know What You Did Last Summer, then I'm assuming that what happens in the movie happens in 2024, and then the movie is going to be set in 2025, and they'll say, well, I know what you did last summer. So I don't know how they're going to play it into it,
Yeah. It's like it's an even bigger coincidence than like Jaws 2. Like having a shark come back to that very same place and having the same guy have to deal with it. It's like, especially if you're bringing Freddie Prinze and you're bringing Jennifer Love Hewitt back in, and maybe like one of their or multiple children of theirs, whether or not they're together, just their kids are going to be involved with this story. It would be the biggest coincidence. And then, like you had said, kind of with the TV show, I feel like the I Know What You Did Last Summer thing has kind of been like, there was like Pretty Little Liars, and they even like rebooted that, and the Pretty Little Liars series, like that's really similar to this whole I Know What You Did Last Summer, with like the taunting and the just the social media version of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Have you ever read the book, the original Lois Duncan book?
No, it's not a horror though, isn't it? Not. It's more romantic drama or something.
It is, yeah. It's not a slasher. The person does try to kill a couple of the people, but isn't successful. But the way that they do, there's a twist in there, and the way they do the twist is chilling, because it's something you couldn't do in a movie. You could only do it in a book, because it's basically like there's one character that some people call this character by one name, and other people in the story call him a different name. And you don't know until the end of the movie that this guy that you thought was two different people is actually the same person. Lois Duncan is very creative though, because even though he has two different names, she always describes him very similarly. So if you're paying attention, you can kind of catch on. But there's a scene where one of the characters calls him by the name that she usually doesn't. And it like gave me goosebumps as a kid reading it.
That's similar to the movie. Well, there's a similar scene in the movie where Freddie Prinze Jr.'s boat is the same name as what David Egan's sister had as a tattoo or something like that. I can't really remember. I feel like there's parallels, maybe not directly from the book, but there's parallels to that idea in the movie itself. But yeah, I've never read the book, but I'm guessing it's not too similar then.
Yeah, the book is fine. It's, I read it when I was in high school, just before the movie came out, just to kind of get an idea of what the heck I was getting into. But yeah, I was like, whoa, that's wildly different. It's in name only, and the notes pretty much. And even the person that they hit with the car, that's not even the same in the book. So, yeah, I mean, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think it could be, C+, B- is sort of what I'm expecting from it. And I'd be surprised if it gets past that point there.
I feel more excited about this than Scream 7, but not to say that I think it's going to be better. It's because we've not had I Know What You Did Last Summer for a long time. I'm excited to see what they do with it. But because we've had numerous Scream films during that time, then I'm just looking forward to Scream 7.
Yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer there's a bit more of an unknown there with that one, because we haven't, and it's just going to be fresher. If the last I Know What You Did Last Summer you saw was the third one, then you got to be pretty pumped for just a return to the OG.
Yeah, something decent.
Yeah, and then next up, Final Destination is coming back with Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah.
And that one, this series is one, I think I've only seen a few of these. I don't think I've seen every single Final Destination film. I thought they were just sort of like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. What am I missing? Tell me what I'm missing out on.
Well, what ones have you not seen?
I think I've seen the first 3.
Okay. Well, we can't. I want to talk about something and I can't tell you now.
No, you can. I've watched videos and had stuff spoiled for me, so I know that at one point one of the movies ends like right before the first movie. I know that happens.
Okay. Right, okay.
Yeah. So that's probably, is that what you're holding back on?
I shit you not. When I was at the cinema watching Final Destination 5, and then the events played out, and I was like, that's a really good film. Bravo, because it was really good. It got to the very end, and these survivors then got onto the same plane as Alex from part 1, and you see Alex getting dragged across the aisle, and me and my wife just looked at each other and I'm like, what? How did we not see that coming? It blew. That's one of the best twists I've ever seen, because you weren't expecting that twist, but because it's not a twist movie franchise.
Yeah.
And when that twist came, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great. The twist was better than the movie, but the movie was still really good. You're not missing much with Destination 4. That's not the best. In fact, that's the worst one, but it's still watchable. But part 5 is maybe the best, if not the best, joint best with part 1. It's so good. It's so good. I'm sure the chat would agree, but part 5 is pretty good.
Yeah, I gotta jump into them. I don't know what it was. If it was just maybe that I was, at the time they were coming out, I was just a little more into, the slasher kind of, straight up slashers, and not so much the death trap kind of thing. But I know, the creative kills. I mean, of course, everyone talks about that, the opening of the Final Destination 2, which is, a pretty epic opening that changes the way you look at logging trucks for the rest of your life. And so, I probably need to jump back into this one, just to be able to, complete it. So, when it comes to Bloodlines, what are you expecting from this series moving forward?
Well, one thing we can guarantee is it's not going to be rinse and repeat, because it's got a different plan. This time, Death has a different plan. It's going after a family and going down the bloodline of a family. So if let's say the kid is alive, and the mother's alive, and the grandmother's alive, the grandmother will be safe until the kid dies and the mother dies, that kind of thing. So I think that's how it works in this one. So same formula, but different style. So looking forward to it. We all know that we love the creative openings to the Final Destination movies. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one, because it is different. And they're not following that same storyline that we got before, because that storyline, even though each film was different with different characters, there was always something part of the original story that was in each Final Destination movie. We don't have that, I'm assuming, for this one, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, and I heard this one's being written and directed by, people that were, I'm guessing, like our age or, younger, that were fans of the original series. So, I think that's an interesting sort of way to do like a legacy sequel, is to bring people in that are just not just a hired hand making another sequel, but somebody that's got kind of a vested interest, and yeah, maybe we will get maybe there will be some connective tissue there between some of those other films.
Yeah, I'm hoping that if they are around about our age, then maybe they can understand what we went through at that age, watching the first Final Destination movie. Maybe they want to bring back that magic from what happened then. The film does come out in May the 16th, 2025, so it'll be almost exactly 25 years from the first movie. So it's a really nice round number for the anniversary of the franchise. So
yeah, and no There hasn't been a trailer or anything, right?
No,
So
no.
what we're probably going to get one on like the Super Bowl or I mean, they better start advertising it soon, right? Unless they're ashamed.
It's expensive to do a Super Bowl trailer. I don't know the budget of Final Destination Bloodlines or the marketing budget. If the marketing budget is big, then yes,
Mhm.
definitely expect a Super Bowl trailer. If their marketing is modest, then we won't see it at the Super Bowl. But they'll try and take advantage of that. They'll probably try and release the trailer during the Super Bowl times
Sure. Yeah.
so that everyone thinks it's a Super Bowl trailer anyway. But
Mhm.
I would imagine a trailer would be coming in the next few weeks because the movie's out in May. You expect a trailer
Yeah.
maybe 3-4 months before it comes out at least. So yeah, a trailer could be coming anytime soon. And yet
Hopefully, yeah.
Tony Todd's going to be in
Yeah.
it. That'll be his last movie.
Yeah, that'll be great to see him one last time there. Um
Yeah.
yeah, this one I am excited for, I'm excited to see it return. I've got to obviously I have to catch up as I'd said previously, but I think this is one where it's this one could be really exciting. It's been how long has it been since the last one? 10 years?
2011, so 14 years.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, this could be like you're saying, even I know it hasn't been as long since the last I know what you did last summer, but as far as like these movies that, with having big set pieces and these like trap kills and everything like that, like there's a lot we can do now that you couldn't do back in 2011 as far as the possibilities. It's sort of like, Halloween and Friday the 13th were pretty like straightforward with their kills, back in the 80s. And A Nightmare on Elm Street was the one where it was like all the really fun creative stuff. And Final Destination kind of has that vibe where it's like, the special effects people can have a lot more fun with something like Final Destination than with, Scream with just stabby stab.
Well, I just realized, I just checked there. One of the writers for Final Destination Bloodlines is Guy Busick, who wrote Scream 5 and 6.
Oh no.
And Abigail, but he also wrote Ready or Not. So
Okay.
there's hope there. Maybe the reins will be off on this one. Maybe they think let's have a little bit more fun because they've got bigger scope to do more creative kills. John Watts is also a writer on it as well. You'll know him as the director of Spider-Man: Homecoming, No Way Home, and Far From Home. So he directed the Spider-Man trilogy. So it's got, I'm hoping, competent people behind it. So
yeah,
I think we're in good hands, but time will tell.
Yeah, I thought the dialogue for the most part in in Abigail was better than the Scream movies. There is a bit of repetition in Abigail as far as I felt like every 10 minutes they were reminding us that Melissa Barrera's character was a former junkie that has a kid. And it sort of started to like irk me after a while. But all the banter, all the House on Haunted Hill in 1999, like banter back and forth was great. So if they bring that, it seems like Final Destination is a little more like fun loving as far as the way they handle the dialogue and the interaction. So hoping Guy Busick doesn't screw that one.
I do like the one scene in Abigail. Can I swear on this channel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, go for it. No one cares.
When she brings the onions, he's like, I can't remember her name. Is it Sammy? Sammy, those are fucking onions.
Yeah.
That was the best part of Abigail. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, it had some quippy moments. Sometimes, I know everyone really loves Dan Stevens. I think sometimes I'm just sort of like, okay, dude, it's a bit much. I've like seeing him in the Rental, and then I saw him in Cuckoo, and I'm just sort of like, all right, this guy likes the smell of his own farts. Just like get that vibe from him. Like, I don't know what it is. Again, he's not a. No, I haven't seen The Guest.
That'll change your mind. Watch that, and all will be okay with the world.
Okay. And yeah, I don't know what it is. Sometimes you just get like vibes, and it doesn't mean that I'm right. Like I was saying, I had said something. I don't know if it was a tweet you made or a comment on one of your videos, just about not really, not being an Aaron Taylor Johnson fan. I mean, I like him in Kick-Ass. Really didn't like him in Age of Ultron. Thought he was terrible in Godzilla. But then I tell you what, man, I watched Nosferatu, and I thought he was the best actor in that whole movie. He knocked my socks off in that movie, and I walked out of the theater being like, I guess I'm the jerk. Or maybe it's just a la carte, you know, you just take an actor's performances a la carte, because I felt like the emotion that he went through in Nosferatu and just everything about his performance like really sucked me in. But he's just, you know, so maybe I'm just waiting for the Dan Stevens performance that really does it for me.
Yeah. I think the guest will do something for you. He's good.
I remember hearing quite a bit about that. Is that like, what? I know we're not really talking about that today, but give me a quick synopsis.
Yeah, so I wouldn't spoil anything for you, but Dan Stevens is an army vet, and he goes to deliver a message to one of his squad members' parents to say that he died in battle in the army. So he went to their house to say, listen, your son's passed away. He wanted me to give you the message to say he loved you guys. And they says, oh, why don't you stay over? You know, stay with us for a couple of days until you get yourself on your feet. And he stays with them, and there's two kids in the house. Micah Monroe plays one of the kids, and a little brother. And Dan Stevens, he seems like a bit of a psycho. So he notices that the little brother's getting bullied at school. So he goes to the school and a bar where the school kids go, and he beats the shit out of all of them to say, don't touch him again. It's so good, honestly. And it feels like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. It's got a Halloween 3 vibe to it. Same score, same lighting, same cinematography. You even see the 3 masks in the movie as well. Wow. So good. It's so good. So that's all I'll tell you. It's okay. It's like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch with a human Michael Myers that speaks. That's it.
Okay. So good. Wow. All right. So that sounds like something I absolutely have to check out. I love Season of the Witch, and Michael Myers is my boy. So
there you go. And Dan Stevens will be your boy.
All right. Here we go. And he uses, I'm guessing he's playing an American there, right? Because he's a Brit.
Yeah. He's from England. Yeah.
He's got, I mean, his accent game is pretty strong. In Cuckoo, he's got that whole German thing going pretty well.
Well, I thought he was American from The Guest, but he's not. So, really good accent.
Yeah. And really good. Yeah. And Abigail, same thing. Pulls off the accent for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Now, okay. I will. The Guest. And everyone's saying, like, Sam from Our Life in Horror says The Guest is not talked about enough. Definitely. I do really like Micah Monroe a lot.
Yeah. She's
I mean, in Long Legs, I love that movie, and her performance, man, just really, really reeled me in. The Guest is really good. Stevens is so hot in it. Oh my gosh. Come on, ladies. Oh, hey, it's fair. I guess I was talking about Jennifer Love Hewitt's Rack, so I can't be upset about it at all.
Exactly.
Now, there's a franchise that I think there were only 2 entries. Maybe there was a third one that I have no idea about, but I know it's a franchise that you've talked about quite a bit. I thought we could maybe talk about a couple here that, you know, would be fun to see make a return.
Urban Legend, is it?
Yeah, I thought we could kick it off with Urban Legend. I think, man, that could be really fun to bring this series back. I mean, I guess I can just sort of let you take it away. Like, would you want to see this come back? Would you want it to be a reboot? Would you want it to be legacy? Like, how would you want to see Urban Legend make its return?
Well, there's only so much I can say. What can I say? All I can say is there was supposed to be an Urban Legend coming out, and as an official Urban Legend movie, like a legacy sequel.
Oh, wow.
But it was scrapped last minute, and it was literally like a year and a half ago, I think, maybe. That's all I'll say, but it doesn't mean it's not happening in the future. But the current state it was in, no. I can't say, sorry. So yeah, I'd like to see Urban Legend come back. As you know, Urban Legend's one of my favorite teen slasher movies of all time. Like, it's up there with Scream and The Faculty for me. I think Urban Legend is so criminally underrated. It's one of the ones, anytime I watch it, it just keeps getting better and better and better. And I've said this before, that if I keep watching Urban Legend, I feel like it's going to be better than Scream eventually, and I don't want that to happen. So I've calmed down, not watched it for a while. So I absolutely adore the movie. The second one's not too bad. I actually think the second one's decent, but it's not a patch on the original. And if you look at any female villains in horror movies, for me, Brenda Bates is one of the best that you're going to get. She's so good in it. I think you've seen Urban Legend, yeah? And you...
Yeah, I've seen both of them. I liked them. I like them both. It's been a little bit since I've seen the second one, but I remember enjoying it, seeing it as a kid. And I watched the original maybe just about a year ago. Because I watched Jamie Blanks' he did that Valentine movie from like 2001.
Yeah.
And it made me want to go back and watch Urban Legend again. Yeah. So yeah, and I really dig the creative kills. I think maybe like the look of the killer, like if they bring it back, like maybe you can do something to sort of update that. But I guess it's a good way to sort of obscure or make the audience not really realize or be able to tell if it's a man or a woman. Big puffy jacket, big puffy parka.
Well, I don't know if you know, but I was going to do a fan film of Urban Legend. It never materialized, but I got the costume. Excuse me, I've got the costume for the Urban Legend, and I went out on Halloween last year, not 2024, Halloween 2023, dressed as the Urban Legend killer. Nobody knew who I was, obviously, because nobody knows about Urban Legend where I'm from.
Yeah.
I love the costume, so I feel like the costume is actually really good. I personally wouldn't want them to change that because that's what makes Urban Legend so good. So it's just so simple. It's a simple costume, which makes it scary, I feel.
Yeah, and it's a really cool, like, I think, like you're saying, we don't have that many female killers, in the slasher world. It's always fun to see a little bit of a shakeup. And there's a really good, she kind of has her like Pamela Voorhees moment there at the end where it's this revenge, so it is a revenge whodunit slasher. And I think what Rebecca Gayheart, is that the name of the actress, the Noxzema girl?
Yep.
Really, really, really good. And then she even gets a little cameo at the end of the second one, right?
She does, yep. She does.
Yeah. So, and I know that there's the stuff that has happened in her personal life, to where she, left acting and everything like that. I don't know if that's something where she'd ever come back. But yeah, really, really, really good in Urban Legend. I'm totally down for this to make a comeback. I mean, if they're bringing back My Bloody Valentine for a second time, we might as well give Urban Legend a shot here.
I would hope they do. She was not so long ago. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that's a Quentin Tarantino movie. So if he can bring her back and nobody complains, then bring her back.
Yeah,
I'd take her.
Yeah, I think it would be amazing. Oh yeah, Danielle Harris is in that first one, the horny goth girl.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Michael Rosenbaum is in that first one. He has hair.
Joshua Jackson's
in
it. Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, who was in Longlegs.
Yeah, Robert Englund.
Yeah. Who else is in it? Oh, there's more. The janitor with the big nose. He was Three Finger from Wrong Turn. You would know him if you saw him.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture him. I'm having a tough time.
Curtain hair down here, older, big pointy nose.
Yeah, why can't I picture him right now? And even I think the woman in the opening kill, she's like somebody. She's somebody famous. She's someone's daughter who's famous either in music or movies. And I think I remember she was in High Fidelity with John Cusack. Right around that time.
What's her name again? Yeah, she's famous. She got a famous mum anyway. Brad Dourif was in it as well. He was in it.
Yes.
Someone's in your back seat. Or Tara.
Yeah, that's a big part of your intro there for a long time.
Well, it's my outro now, but yeah. So
yeah,
that's a big part of my outro. Our Life in Horror said Tara Reid was in it. Yep, forgot about her.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Tara Reid. Wow, she sure had her run. She's like the shock jock.
Yeah. Big cast though. Big cast for
Yeah.
a modest, and the film made over $70 million. So it's a hugely successful movie.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to bring this back. And I guess that's like one of my hopes is, hey, if I know what you did last summer and Final Destination Bloodlines do well this year, like maybe it does open up the possibility to to bring some of these other ones back. Another one that you had just mentioned not too long ago is The Faculty. I know that's one you're a big fan of, and yeah, it was a one-off at the time, so maybe they would do like a reboot, a modernization of it or something like that. But I remember seeing this one in the theater as well. I think it was like a December release or a November release or something like that out here in the States.
Came out on my birthday.
On your birthday?
Yep, December.
What's your birthday? December 8th. All right, there you go. So I must have seen it like that opening weekend. And famously shot it like the same time, like Josh Hartnett was doing this one and shot this one in H2O pretty much back to back, right?
Yeah,
same time frame. It was kind of the resurgence of Elijah Wood, because everyone knew him as a child actor, but he had a little bit of a gap, and it was like, oh, all of a sudden, here we are. Elijah Wood's a young man, a massive cast on this one too,
Like the biggest and best ensemble cast, I'd say, of all time. If you maybe not now because half of them don't act as much anymore, but if they wanted to do a Faculty 2 in say 2008 for a 10th anniversary, that would have cost them upwards of $150 million to get all of those actors back again, because everybody in that movie was huge, amazing. What a cast that was. Amazing.
And even, like Famke Janssen's in there. Jon Stewart, he wasn't in very many movies, but Jon Stewart's got a little spot there. Love Robert Patrick. Love me some T-1000. I'll take that all day.
Definitely. Salma Hayek.
Yeah.
Harry Knowles was in it as well, the movie critic. He was a ginger teacher with a big hair.
Oh, yeah.
Just even small cameos of people. Summer Phoenix was in it. River Phoenix's sister and Joaquin Phoenix's sister. John Abrams was in it from Scary Movie. Who else? Robert Rodriguez's sister was in it at the start with the tattoos all over her face. So many people in it, and that's not even including the main cast.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
great cast.
Yeah, this one. So what? Same kind of thing with Urban Legend. Would you want them to? I mean, I guess with this one, they would just have to do a straight up reboot because we're almost 30 years away.
Either that or they do a sequel, but maybe have 2 or 3 of them return as teachers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a long time. If they decided to make this, you'd be looking at 30 years gap between both movies. So if you want to give it a feeling of being a legacy sequel, maybe have Josh Hartnett being the new science teacher, or have, I don't know, Usher or Stan, Sean Hadley being like the PE teachers that Robert Patrick was. So yeah. But what are the chances of the same school getting taken over with people who were affected 30 years ago? So
yeah,
it's a tough one. If I feel like they've missed the boat on the Faculty now because it has been so long. But if they did bring it out, I would still definitely be excited for it.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I think Hartnett is kind of back in a big way. He'd bring that same look he had in a Trap, just bring that on over to the Faculty. And then, I mean, even if they want to do a straight up reboot, they could still bring back some of those legacy, or just bring back the actors in totally different roles. Because, yeah, I mean, it is sort of like, yeah, how do you do, I guess, and you maybe have to do it on a bigger scale to where it's not just one alien, invading, to where it's just a little bit bigger than just the queen coming down.
Yeah. Maybe have multiple schools around and taking over the whole world, I guess, or the country. I don't know.
Well, and it also has, I remember that there's the scene where they all have to do like the drug out of the pen or whatever. Very like The Thing kind of scene. there, you know, just like kind of bringing in those little homages. And what this was, you know, Robert Rodriguez, this was one of the first, or one of the more like mainstream movies he had done, because he had done his mariachi trilogy and he had done From Dusk Till Dawn, right? Just right before this one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was like his breakout into the mainstream. It's been a little bit since I've seen The Faculty. I got to dive back into that one. The Faculty with the hottest high school principal.
Oh, yeah, BB Newworth. Principal, what's her name? Principal Drake. Yeah,
she's the woman. She was in like Frasier. She plays Niles' wife in Frasier. Is that right?
Yeah. She was in Jumanji as well.
Yeah, she has a little bit of, she has that hot mom kind of vibe going on. Yeah, very much so.
Even talking about Joel, the cameraman from Scream 2, was in The Faculty as well.
No way. I love Joel.
Yeah, he's a police officer. And Shooter McGavin's in it.
Oh, Shooter's great. Is it Christopher McDonald? Something like that?
Yeah. Christopher McDonald, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I know every word to The Faculty. I love it. That's probably my most watched movie of all time, The Faculty.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of got this it's such a cool time in horror, just having that resurgence of Scream in 96 and then seeing it kind of usher in something brand new, because man, the late 80s and the early 90s with horror was just like, what the hell's going on? There was just it was this weird doldrums where like couldn't even really enjoy the new, Friday the 13th movies were just getting really bad. And to see just something fresh and new, and different. I think it would be cool to see, something like The Faculty come back. It looks like everyone here in the, Slasher Fred, you were right. Famke Janssen was in there as well. She probably would have cost a lot of money, coming off X-Men if they tried to bring her back in 08, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I think
she really took off. Names. Yeah, for sure.
And I think Kevin Williamson Kevin Williamson wrote the story or the screenplay for The Faculty as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
I believe so. He had some sort of hand in that one.
He did. Because I remember the trailer. It's like from the writer of Desperado. No, from the director of From Dusk Till Dawn. No, yeah, from the director of From Dusk Till Dawn and Desperado, and the writer of Scream, and I Know You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
The Faculty.
And he really wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer. He just wrote the script or something.
Yeah, I think he wrote the screenplay for that, like a version of the screenplay. So Kevin Williamson wrote The Faculty. There you go. That's why it was so hip and cool.
It was. Hey man, he ruled that era there. Mm-hmm. Being able to write that age group. I'm hoping he still has it and he's able to put some of that into Scream 7 like we were saying earlier. Yeah. Is there anything else I'm missing? Because I feel like I was almost like, oh, I guess you could mention Jeepers Creepers, but I feel like they keep on trying to do that one and it just bad movie after bad movie. Like, on the when they try to bring it back. I think I've seen the first two and that's it. I don't think I've seen anything since then.
The thing is, even though Jeepers Creepers came out only like 3 years after The Faculty, it feels like a generation past those teen slasher movies. Because for one, it's not a teen slasher movie, it's got a monster in it, and it came out in 2001. So I feel like that missed the boat of those teen slasher phase that we got. I think Final Destination to me felt like the very last in that era of the teen slasher movies. You get your usual single movies like Cherry Falls or Idle Hands, The Curve, movies like that. And then you get your franchise movies like Halloween, Scream, I Know You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend. But I feel like Final Destination was like that final one to block off the 90s to the year 2000. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think that, to me, when I watched Jeepers Creepers, it reminded me more of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That whole like, yeah, on the road, and you just sort of like land in this like you're in a no man's land, and you're not going to escape this place. It's just this inescapable hell, and just a little bit more of a focused story. In that first movie, and then the second movie's got a little bit of a different flavor. But yeah, I mean, it truly does feel like you're saying, it does feel different.
And it's not.
Yeah, I think
it's not a whodunit movie either. Like, we know who the killer is; it's a monster. But I feel like a teen slasher movie has a typical whodunit, who's the killer, and we get a reveal at the end of the movie. So I feel like that's necessary to be classed as one of those teen slasher movies of back in the late 90s.
Yeah, and I guess we're kind of seeing we can sort of touch on this really quick here. I don't want to, I'm not going to keep you all night, but we're sort of seeing we're seeing new movies and new franchises possibly that have that sort of vibe too. I mean, when I saw Thanksgiving, to me, it reminded me more of like The Prowler and My Bloody Valentine, but I did see a lot of people, maybe younger people, that were comparing it to Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, urban legend, that kind of thing. And then, coming up with Heart Eyes here just within about a week or so, I think we're getting that. And it looks like that's going to try to sort of bring back a little bit of that whodunit kind of magic as well. What do you think about Thanksgiving and like the direction it's going, and how hopeful are you that Heart Eyes is going to be something that is going to stick around for a bit?
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to both of them, Thanksgiving 2 and Heart Eyes. I feel like if I was to choose either Thanksgiving franchise or Heart Eyes franchise to be the next teen slasher one, it would be Thanksgiving, because it deals with kids in high school, whereas Heart Eyes, although it has that slasher feeling and a whodunit feeling, it seems to be targeting adults who are in love or on dates and stuff like that. So I think it's tailored for the older character rather than having a teenager in that role. So I feel like if Heart Eyes is not just successful but good, then we could be on to another slasher franchise. And the same with Thanksgiving 2. Thanksgiving 1 was great. I loved it. So if Thanksgiving 2 can keep that up, then we could be in for another good teen slasher franchise. I know we get franchises like Terrifier, but that's not really, those teen slasher movies, because they're just like splatter. They're splatter films.
Splatter. I think I think of Terrifier as the same kind of thing. Like, to me, it's got certain slasher elements, but it doesn't really feel like a straight up slasher to me. And I mean, I'm really like, I saw the first trailer to Heart Eyes, and then I avoided the second one because I heard that it shows even more. And even in that first trailer, that must be either insignificant characters that they show, or that's the very beginning of the movie, or there's just so much carnage candy in the movie that it doesn't matter that they basically give away 2 kills like right in a teaser trailer. I'm like, oh geez. But I do think that idea of like having like, let's have another shot at having a Valentine's Day, a good holiday slasher that's just, we have 2 My Bloody Valentine movies, but they're both one-offs with cliffhangers. We had Bill from the Everscathed brought up the movie Valentine from 2001, and that's getting some love in the chat. Sam says, I love Valentine, hated it the first time, but it grew on me. Dean says Valentine has always been decent in my book. David Boreanaz just really doesn't do it for me. And that movie has the weirdest reveal because they reveal the killer and then the movie just ends. Yeah. You don't get to see no one in the movie reacts to the killer. So it's like they were really confident they were going to get a sequel that never happened.
Yeah. No, it was not too bad. I was going to say it might have been Jamie that mentioned Disturbing Behavior as well. That was a decent one. That was decent.
Yeah. Yeah, Brooke brings that one up. That one, and man, that's one of those movies that really was supposed to be something totally different than what it ended up being. Like, totally got ripped out of the creator's hands, and it was supposed to be a lot darker and a lot more, Stepford Wivey and all that kind of stuff. That would be a cool one to see come back, especially with what we have going on with social media and everything, and the way that people could be, or the way that people sort of are kind of programmed, or thought controlled,
Yeah.
as
I
is.
I'd feel like if they'd done another disturbing behavior, just do it a complete reboot. Like, don't bring back old characters. Don't try and make it a
Yeah.
lengthy sequel. Just give us a outright disturbing behavior, new story,
Mhm.
updated from what we saw before. We've had films like it before anyway, but give us an updated version of it. I would watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think, and it had a nice little cliffhanger ending as well. So it's like, yeah, just another movie that never really got to, got to turn into anything bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Trisha, I'm guessing this is Trisha. This is her new channel that she's starting with her brother. I'm super pumped for that to kick off. But she says David Boreanaz doesn't have an effect on you. He's not your type. Some actors just, I don't know. They just scream TV actor to me. And David Boreanaz, he's got TV actor chops. Him and like Jensen Ackles, I just don't believe them as like real film actors. Oh, now we got people talking about Stir of Echoes. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that as well. Stir of Echoes. It's not a slasher movie, but definitely a really good late 90s horror.
Yeah. And one of those movies that I think when it came out, it was like right around the same time as Sixth Sense. And everyone was like, oh, it's a ripoff of Sixth Sense. But it was actually a Richard Matheson book that was written like in 1954 or something like that. Yeah, Stir of Echoes is awesome. Great Kevin Bacon performance. Really, really creepy movie. Yeah.
I love that movie. And I felt the same. People would compare it to The Sixth Sense and just like say, nah, I'm not watching that because it's a ripoff of The Sixth Sense. We didn't get it to the year 2000 in the UK, and I gave it a chance and I thought it was great. It's a really good film.
Yeah. It was one of those movies that I bought, like I watched it, rented it from Blockbuster. And then a couple months later, Blockbuster was selling a bunch of copies for like $5. I'm still in high school and bought it on VHS. And man, I wore that tape out. Like I would watch Stir of Echoes all the time, like late high school, And everyone's talking about In the Mouth of Madness. Now it's just off the rails. I love In the Mouth of Madness.
That's a good film.
Yeah. It's a fun John Carpenter movie that's late era John Carpenter for sure.
We also kind of venture near the late 90s. We venture into that sci-fi horror with movies like Phantoms and Mimic. And those kind of like Guillermo del Toro. So it's kind of sci-fi horror, but it still feels like, especially Phantoms with Lev Schreiber and Rose McGowan, it still feels like that kind of Scream movie because of the cast,
Yeah,
so,
and I think it's Dimension as well, right? I think that was a Dimension film. And they even used the shot of Liev Schreiber is the same one they use on the alternate Scream 2 poster. It's the same exact just image. I think they just mirror it or something like that. Back in the day of the floating heads posters, H2O did the same thing. The floating heads are great. Everyone loves those.
Even in Halloween Resurrections poster, Jamie Lee Curtis still has the short hair, even though she's got long hair in the movie. It's so lazy. And it's funny because anytime I see a floating head poster, I get nostalgic again because I'm like, it just takes me back to going on to the websites in 1999. And your websites used to do pop, 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 pop. And you're like, oh, I can see the picture coming. And then you see a poster of floating heads. You're like, yay. So, yeah, I miss those days. I miss the dial-up days of the internet.
Oh yeah, it was just waiting all day to see that picture load up, whether or not you were looking at something appropriate or inappropriate. It was very, very exciting.
Did you ever remember a website from back then, back in the teen slasher phase, a website called rotten.com?
Yes.
Do you remember that? That was so bizarre. Like, why would we go on that website? It's horrible.
I don't think I ever did, but my friends would talk about it. Right, there were all sorts of wild sites. There was one called ratemypoo.com.
Oh, yeah. I remember. I didn't go on it, but I remember that site. Yeah.
Ugh.
Good
look, there was Something Awful, and that was more of a comedy site. Something Awful had like all those, they take like real pictures of people and they would just write the most brutal captions. And it was just really, really mean stuff. but not as gross, like rotten.com. Ugh. No, I can't. And that's the reason why, like, when people ask me, they're like, why, how do you like horror movies? And it's like, one of the things I tell them is like, well, to me, it's like a roller coaster. I really like the excitement. I also like the safety of the screen. Like, I know it's not real. There's a safety there, and I'm not into like, I'm not a violent person or whatever. It's one of those things where it's like, it's just a safe way to experience like all that craziness.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel the same. You've got that safety glass there that between you and the camera. My mum used to say to me if I got scared, she'd be like, just remember there's lots of camera crew behind, everyone's having a good laugh, don't be scared. And that's how I would watch horror movies. If I got scared, I would think, right, okay, there's about 20 people behind that camera, I'm safe, I'm fine. And that's how it went for me. So
yeah, there you go.
Oh, E-Bombs World as well. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a blast from the past.
Back when websites had counters on them, you know.
That's right. You go to the bottom of the page with the little counter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old GeoCities.
GeoCities. One thing I've not asked you, Davey, is out of all these teen slasher movies of the 90s, what is your favorite of them all, if you've even got a favorite in mind?
I think I think I've got a basic bitch answer, and I think it would be Scream, because I really like those. You know, even though Scream 3 for a while was one that was like, you know, it definitely seems like out of the original trilogy, the one that's more different than the others. But now, like, the more I watch them, I've like discovered a lot of love for Scream 3.
Yeah.
And Roman as a killer, like, I think some of those moments that he has with Sydney at the end of the movie, there's like a couple kind of touching moments. I mean, when he's, you know, literally about to die, or maybe she had just stabbed him at that point, and he's like holding her hand, he gives her like this look, and it's sort of like he has a revelation of like, wow, I could have totally gone about this in a different way and had a sister. You know, there's like a moment there.
I'm quite the opposite with that, because I feel like could you imagine that he's said, oh, you're my sister, blah, 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 and they start fighting and stuff. And after she stabs him, if he says, come closer, and he's like, I'm not your brother, I was just kidding. Because she's got no way of knowing if he was telling the truth.
That's true.
She was just taking his word for it. I'm like, why are you believing this random man that he's your brother? Don't believe him and try and get away. You know, they should have
gone on Maury and done the test. You are the father.
You are the brother.
I guess maybe she just believes it because her mom really was like the biggest hoe in all of horror. You know,
that's her just realizing it now that that's happened.
That's what it sounds like. You know, I think she sort of knows that from the first Scream movie. You know, she sort of comes to the realization of like, yeah, my mom was a little different. Like, it doesn't. Her dad says something in Scream 3.
Yeah,
to her about
pushes it off.
You know, the kind of problems she had and all that kind of thing.
I thought, you know, let's face it, she's no Sharon Stone.
Yeah. Huh? I think one of my favorite moments, and a moment that didn't really hit me until maybe within the last couple of years, is at the end of the first Scream when, you know, Sydney wants to know Billy's motive, and he's like, you know, it's inconsequential. It's the, you know, the millennium or whatever. But then he decides to tell her what the real motive is. And I didn't notice this until, a couple years ago, where the look on Stu's face when he says that Sydney's mom was sleeping with his father, Stu gives him a look like he had no idea. Like, that's the first time that Billy's been honest with him about that. So, and I'm like, that's such a great character moment, you know, for both of those characters, for Stu to realize, even he probably thought he could trust this guy. They're killing people together, you know, and then to realize, holy shit, like, this guy's lying to me too.
I had that feeling as well when he's like, you know, how's this for a motive? Is that motive enough for you? And you see Stu going like, what the fuck? He's like, I didn't know that. Like, that's amazing, you know? So I think at that moment he's thinking, maybe Billy is a little bit more crazy than I am, and I just didn't know it. You know?
It puts him at the disadvantage, and then it sort of makes sense with what happens later when they start stabbing each other, and Billy is the first one to get overzealous, you know? I think I'm dying here, man.
He's like, you gotta hit me with the phone, Dick.
So good. So good.
It seems like you love Stu. Do you love him enough to come
I
back?
I don't, they would really have to do it the right way. Dean Renner, who's in the chat, he has a channel called Enter the Cinevault, and he put together a really good video on how he thinks they could bring him back.
Right.
And he's also like, I don't want Stu to come back. If they're gonna do it, this is a way that I think would make sense. Shout out to Cody for the 5-month membership and dropping a $5 says don't sleep on the rage. Carry 2. It's a gem. I never saw that one.
I never saw it, but I've heard good things about it as well. And that's a late teen 90s slasher movie as well. One that I've never seen. It's on my watch list. So Cody, I will definitely check it out.
And I guess a legacy sequel, kind of, right? I mean,
I guess so.
15 or so years after the original.
Well, saying that though, is Carrie not still at school in this one?
Yeah, I don't know. Me, it just sort of. Yeah, it's weird. To me, it just sort of almost seemed like a reboot, but they wanted to be able to connect it to the Carrie, they just wanted the name recognition, right? Because it just seems like the same. At least I've never seen it, but just remembering what the trailers were like, it seems very similar.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Thank you for the $5 there, Cody. Really appreciate you, bud.
Even though Cody said Stu's dead, leave it alone. Even though he said that, I will still check out Carrie 2. Oh damn.
Gina loves The Rage. Carrie 2, good film. Okay, I guess I got to check it out. What if the end of Scream 96, Billy and Stu turned on each other and fought it out? I mean, that's something we haven't seen in a Scream movie that would be kind of. Oh, we saw it in Scream 2. Never mind. Scratch that.
Oh yeah.
They don't really fight it. It's not much of a fight, but
no, because one of them didn't realize. Yeah, I always do that in my videos when I'm recording a video. I'll say something like what you just said there. I say, yeah, that's never happened before, and then I'll cut and I'll go, well, God, that happens in every movie. What am I talking about? And I'm like, cut, and I cut lots of things out.
That's too funny. Yeah, I guess it's not much of a fight. It would be cool to see a little bit more of a sparring there. Yeah, because Mrs. Loomis is just a cold-blooded killer, And then you shot Mickey. I still think my favorite is Timothy Oliphant going, Billy's mother.
His neck does some sort of weird cuckoo thing. Like,
didn't see that one coming, did ya?
Hi, he's good. Stretch.
He has this whole, it's like Jack Nicholson meets Jim Carrey moment. It's great.
It's great. It looks like Jack Nicholson as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scooped back hair. He totally gives himself up though. Mickey gives himself up in the hospital. Even the first time I saw the movie, I was like, well, what the hell? That guy must be one of the killers. How would he know that Derek went back into the house? He told Sid, he goes, Derek should have never gone back into the house. And no one knows that except for Sydney. And we hadn't seen her say that to anyone.
But was Mickey not there at the hospital before them?
Well, we just see that Mickey's like slouched in the chair hanging out with her. And he just says to her, like casually, he's like, he should have never gone back into that house. And like Sydney even gives kind of a look. And like, the first time I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, how the hell would he know that?
I remember him saying it, but I couldn't remember if he was supposed to know that at the time. I'm not sure. Unless everybody knew. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it is a little bit of a clue. And they don't usually drop clues that big, in the Scream films. What's happening, Horror? How are you doing? I think another across the pond content creator there.
Oh, in the UK or?
Yeah, in the UK, yeah. I think UK, yeah. I believe so. Let's see here. Looks like we're all caught up on the chat. Yeah, I mean, I've had a blast talking to you about, these 90s films and, of course, a little bit of early 2000s with Final Destination. Yeah. It'll be cool to see maybe sometime later on in the year. I know you're going to cover these films on your own channel. But maybe we could sort of do a little bit of a recap and see, get you back on the show and just kind of have, that open discussion and see how it all went, how Bloodlines went, how I Know What You Did Last Summer went. And maybe at that point there will be something else, announced or, just a little bit of a word on what may be coming up next.
Well, should we have a rundown right now of what we think is going to happen in the movies that are coming out, and then we'll look back on it and say, oh, we were right about that, or we were wrong about that.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Let's do it. So Scream 7, I'll start with Scream 7. I'll say we're going to get a change in the formula like I wanted. I think we're going to get a killer that's going to be someone that we know, whether that be a previous killer or a previous survivor. That's one of the things I think is going to happen in Scream 7. What about you?
I think they're going to do the cliffhanger. I think we got a little duology with 5 and 6. I think it would be really smart for them to do a little 7 and 8 kind of duology. You know, I would love a cliffhanger. I think it would be, like I was saying earlier, I think it would be smart because all the, you know, the content creation would sort of advertise and drive the intrigue of that follow-up film.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of have the similar feeling that you've got. I do think that they're going to try to connect it to something before Scream 5 and 6. I do like you're saying, either they are going to bring Stu back and, you know, maybe he has an accomplice or two, or there will be some of that connection to, you know, to Kevin's initial, he'll sort of use that as an anchor to get back into the franchise. And yeah, I think, man, I would love a two-parter cliffhanger. So that's what I'm going to predict because that's what I want to see. Even if it's Stu, I can live with it.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
What if Stu isn't? What if they do that and they don't even bring in Stu until the 8th one, and then we get another 2 years of people throwing out their Stu, you know, Supreme Leader Snoke little theories out there.
Could you imagine Stu returns, but as a good guy, and he saves Sydney, and we suspect him to be the killer in Scream 7 and 8, and it turns out he's a hero at the end? Cut.
Now that would be amazing. Yeah, a little bit of that Cotton Weary kind of thing. I love Cotton's redemption at the end of Scream 2. I totally get why they knocked him off in Scream 3. It's a total shock to the system, but I wanted more from that character. Maybe I've always loved a good redemption arc for a villain. You know, like Darth Vader, Magneto. Like, I love seeing a bad guy sort of have a change of heart, very soap opera-esque. But that's an idea right there. If you bring back Stu and he ends up being a good guy, but we think he's bad the whole time, I dig that. I can get on board with that.
Let's lock it in. There
it is. And we'll come back and see if we're right or wrong after that one. That one won't be till February of next year. But
we might not find out until 2028 or something, though, if it's going to be
if they do the two-parter. Yeah. And then what? So Final Destination, Bloodlines, that's the one that's coming up first.
Yeah, that's right. So let's predict. I know you probably read it anyway, but I think there's going to be a building involved at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think the building's going to collapse, like a 50-story building's going to collapse. That's what I believe is going to be the opening, would you call it, premonition? But I don't know if you read anything else.
I haven't. I've sort of just like kind of, I'm the way I am nowadays. It's sort of like I'll watch the teaser, and if I'm hooked, like, I'm done.
Yeah.
If the teaser doesn't hook me, I'll watch the next one. But I found that the second trailer can show off a little bit too much, or deflate my excitement.
Yeah. I feel like I have to watch the trailers because I do trailer breakdowns quite a lot, and they're quite successful on the channel. So I feel like if I don't watch the trailer and don't do a trailer breakdown, then I've missed out. So it's a double-edged sword for me. I don't want to watch the trailers, but I feel like I have to. So I'll do it. I'll do it for you. I'll watch it for you.
And I would watch them more because I've done some reactions and stuff. They just haven't really taken off. So I'm like, well, if they're not taking off and they might kind of spoil the experience for me, I'm out. There's, plenty of folks such as yourself that do a really good job at that. So I can just enjoy your breakdowns and all that. Yeah, you were saying I think earlier you were talking about, the Bloodlines thing just being tied to a family. Like it'll all be, So what do you think? You think there's like some evil corporate family that owns this skyscraper that something terrible happens in, and then death is slowly starting to pick them off. Is it going to be like a Trump kind of thing, like trying, you know?
Well, as far as I'm aware, now again, don't quote me on this because I could be wrong. I believe the start of the movie takes place in the past, and this woman is in a collapse, a building collapse, and she survives because she has the premonition. Years later, she has a kid, and then her kid grows up and has a kid as well. So it's like a third generation family. And Death decides to come back and take her. But before Death can take this woman, he has to go back down the line to the family. So in order for this woman to die, her child needs to die and her grandchild needs to die. So a grandchild, I'm assuming, is probably going to be a teenager, and they'll be the ones that are the main characters. So if the teenager dies, it then goes to the parent. And if that parent dies, it goes back to the original grandmother. Or it could be the other way around. Maybe the grandmother has to go first, and then so on and so on. So I don't know the ins and outs of it. That's what I've heard. Don't know how much of it's true or how much of it might have been changed during filming. So take that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, that's because it sounds like a little bit of a Back to the Future, like changing the past sort of thing, like having to erase what's been done from her surviving. Yeah, there's got to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you killed the grandparent, then it means, if it was Back to the Future, it means that the middle child and the grandchild would not exist. But that's if you killed her in the past. So I don't know how that would work. So they probably won't deal with that.
It's going to be like the Terminator. Death is going to go back to the past. Are you Sarah Connor?
No.
And then, so do you think it's going to be a group of people that survived this building collapse?
Yeah, I would think so.
That's what we're going to see.
Yeah, so let's say it's like 8 people or whatever. Maybe some of them will have kids of their own, and it'll be the same kind of situation for them. It goes for their grandkids, their kids, and then them. It could be something completely different. It might be on a ski resort, and it's got nothing to do with bloodlines. But that's what I'm hearing. So
I mean, I know they overuse that subtitle a lot, like in film. So I'm hoping that at least with this time, it would make sense with the plot because of what Final Destination is.
Yeah, it's more literal rather than like Hellraiser Bloodlines, when it's like, what? But with Final Destination Bloodlines, it's because they're going after the bloodline of the survivors of that building collapse. Who knows? Time will tell.
And are they bringing back any legacy performers that we know of for this one?
Well, Devon Sawa has been quite vocal about being excited for horror this year. I know he's in Heart Eyes, but he says, like, in coded messages, like, I have other big projects coming that you may know about, wink, wink. And we're like, okay. All right. So, who knows? He might come back as Alex, or maybe he'll come back. No, he won't. I don't know. Maybe Alex's family members will be in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? They could de-age him.
Yeah. Make him look
do
like
something crazy like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't really, I'm gonna roll with you with your prediction here on Final Destination Bloodlines. That to me sounds like the most plausible thing. I think that they're gonna be, because usually they're pretty straightforward, and it's just more about how creative they get with the set piece kills,
Yeah.
So that'll be the secret to the sauce there on that one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I know what you did last summer. What do you think? What's your prediction for this one?
My prediction is Ray is going to die first, and Freddie Prinze Jr. And then I think midway through the movie we'll see Julie die as well, and then the story will continue with those new teenagers. I feel like Julie or Ray might be the new Anne Hesh. I don't know if you remember Anne Hesh's character in the first movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So maybe one of them will be like a recluse because of the events of what happened last summer, 20-odd summers ago. So I feel like one of them or two of them might be like that, and maybe these kids, let's say it's Julie's kids, they say, let's go and see my dad. I've not seen him for years. He lives in a ranch somewhere or on a boat. And then they go and see him and he's all like bearded, like, oh.
Yeah.
He gives them advice. One summer, this happened to me and my wife or my ex, and don't go looking for Ben Willis. And then that'll be the story. So I think one of them or both of them will die early on. What's your predictions?
I saw, it's crazy. One of the images that came out, I was like covering, I don't do a lot of news stuff on the channel, but if it's like a franchise I'm familiar with or something that has that nostalgic connection, I'll cover it. And there's that picture, there was like one of the still images that they showed on like Bloody Disgusting from a trailer. And I don't know if it's like a dream sequence, but it's like a classroom from like the 90s, like old school, like, old school like Apple IIgs computer or something like that. It's just this still image, and I'm like, is there going to be some sort of, is Julie going to be dreaming? Is there going to, like, how is that going to be tied into everything? Part of me, like, I get what you're saying about Ray being like the salty fisherman. I wonder if they're going to do a little subverting expectations and sort of do a flip and have it be where like Julie's living on a boat, like in the middle of nowhere to like get away. And then maybe she's the very first victim. And she's been like, she sort of took on like the lifestyle that Ray was a part of, like that whole fisherman life or whatever was something that she found comfort in to get away, a la, Laurie Strode trying to like leave her past behind kind of thing.
That sounds possible.
I think it could be one of those, because Ray always seemed like the sweetest, like doe-eyed kind of guy. He's always like, well, why is Julie mad at me? Always had that look on his face. So what if they did have kids? Ray is more of became like the traditional dad, and Julie is the one that has a little bit of a tougher time dealing with things because she faced it so head on 2 times in a row back then. So that's kind of my, like, I kind of like to see a little bit of like a salty, tough Julie James.
Yeah.
And
I think that would be cool. Yeah.
And then her kids could do something and get embroiled in something with someone that's like their contemporary or something like that. I still think it's going to be tied to what happened in the first 2 films. I think, obviously they're just going to ignore the 3rd film. I think there will be some sort of connection to the Willis family. Maybe some retcon connection that we never knew about before. What's up?
There was a sister as well. So like Ben Willis had a son and a daughter. So there's she.
There you go. Or even one of the relatives of a deceased character from the past. Like maybe Jack Black's drug dealer comes after him and then
seriously, don't do that. Oh, I love that character. That's so good.
Oh, he's so good. He's so lovable. I love a good like annoying character in a slasher movie. But yeah, I think that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Julie James have a little bit of Quint from Jaws up in her.
Well, if that was to happen, like your suggestion, it would be quite interesting to see Ray, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character, be the new, like the way David Arquette was in Scream 5, like the protector of the new kids. See him in that kind of role. I think that would be interesting if he sees that she's died at the beginning of, or maybe she's the one that died in 2024 last summer. Maybe the kids killed her. And Ray's going to get revenge and kill them all. I know what you did last summer to my womb.
Yeah, I mean, her. It sounds like she's joking, but says I'm calling Freddie Prinze Jr. being the killer.
He's going to kill them all for what they done to Julie last summer.
Yeah.
Do you remember Scary Movie?
I do a little bit. I like the second one. Okay, I never really loved those movies. They were just like really gross to me. I don't know.
There's a great scene in the first one though. They're spoofing I Know What You Did Last Summer, and they hit the guy, and there's a shoe in the road, like a boot on the road, and they go and investigate to see what it was, and they see this boot on the road. They're like, "What is it?" He's like, it's a boot. Oh my God, we hit a boot. And they're like, where's the foot? Where's the foot? It's so funny. Scary Movie
Yeah,
6 is
scary. They are bringing that back. I guess that's another, early
coming.
2000s, late 90s, early 2000s resurgence as well. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up with like The Naked Gun and Airplane and Hot Shots, like, movies like that, Top Secret. So by the time the scary movies came along, they just didn't really seem very clever to me. It seemed like those are jokes my friends and I would have made after like drinking a bunch of Mountain Dew, like very, very, like, I know like second level jokes, just very like bathroom humor, big bush, lots of cum kind of jokes.
Well, the irony is, do you know the director of Scary Movie is the same director as Airplane and stuff?
I think he do like the third or something like that. I know he did one of them. I don't know if he did, because the Wayans brothers, I think, did the first two. I think Jim Abrams came in and directed like the third one with Charlie Sheen and Simon Rex, I think.
So yeah, Scary Movie 3, 4, and 5. David Zucker directed them. The director of the Naked Gun, Police Squad, Airplane, Top Secret, Ruthless People. So those were the worst ones in the franchise, believe it or not. The Scary Movies, like 1 and 2, were really good. But then,
did Zucker write those?
He also wrote. No, he didn't write No, I think it was the Wayans brothers that wrote the first 2 Scary Movies.
Gotcha. I don't know if he wrote the ones that he directed, but yeah, I mean, certainly sometimes people just lose their magic. It's even Airplane 2. To me, I'm just sort of like, I love the first Airplane, but Airplane 2 is just a total rehash. It's like same jokes and just never gonna watch it again.
Yeah, there's Jenks in the chat.
Oh, we got Jenks. Love Scary Movie. The dick through the head is genius.
That was horrible. When you hear the noise in the bathroom still.
Yeah. That stuff should have cracked me up at the age I was at. I don't know. I was just I'm not even that much of a stuffed shirt, but for whatever reason, it just seemed a bit too on the nose, a bit too on the dick for me.
Yeah. I thought Jenks wouldn't like Scary Movie as well.
Me too, because Jenks is so prim and proper,
Yeah, maybe it's actually Curtis that's talking. He's pretending he's Jenks. We just never know those.
Jenks is high class. Yeah. Curtis is like, I'll take whatever you got,
Yeah, he's street trash level.
He is literal street trash level, and then Jenks only sips the finest of champagnes and watches the most elevated of horror. Stan Helsing. I never saw that one. Manny's Manic Media.
No, I saw the trailer for it and I've saw clips of it. That's enough.
Yeah, and I do think the Scary Movie and all that, they're better than, Epic Movie and Disaster Movie.
Oh, yeah,
and Date Movie. I couldn't even watch those.
Same.
Oh yeah, you guys, they were watching Shaun of the Dead over on Twisted Locker.
Oh yeah,
that's earlier. Right. Love Shaun of the Dead. It's fun stuff. High class, but Scary Movie is my jam, says Jenks. All right. Well, there it is.
Jenks likes a good spoof movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, shoot. We're closing in here on just about 2 hours. I think we got all our predictions done, right? So here, in at least by July or August, we can at least talk about
at least 2 of them.
2 of them. Yeah,
I know what you did last summer.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. And Barry, what do you have coming up on the channel? I mean, I know you're always dropping content, but is there any sort of kind of like bigger project or drop that you're looking to do here relatively soon?
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to re-review. I've not started it yet, but I'm going to re-review the Halloween movies in the lead up to this Halloween coming. I won't drop them all like in October. I'll sprinkle them out maybe from July onwards. So that's a plan that I've got. I'm just clicking on my channel just now because I've always got content waiting to go out there.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a few top 10s. There's obviously Valentine's Day is coming up, so I've got 10 romantic horror movies that I recommend for people to watch. That's probably my biggest one. I've got lots in the pipeline. I see, for me, I do the thumbnails first, and if I feel like the thumbnails are good enough, I'll say to myself, right, let's start the script for that video for the thumbnail. That's something I learned through vidIQ. Make sure you get the perfect thumbnail before you do the video, because if you do a video first and you just can't think of a good thumbnail, the video might fail, whether it's good or not. So master the thumbnail before you master the video. That's what they say. So loads of stuff in the pipeline. So a lot of top tens. My top tens have been doing pretty well lately. So I've got a few top tens planned. Trying to break out of horror as well now and again. So I've got a planned top 10 of my saddest movies of all time. So look out for that one, but bring your tissues because it's going to be a sad one. But yeah, just a few other things, Scream related, Halloween related. That's what I've got up in the pipeline.
Hell yeah. Awesome. And then I'd imagine still doing, like you were saying, doing your trailer reactions and breakdowns and everything like that, and taking down those trolls.
Taking down the trolls is what I do, but I don't do trailer reactions anymore.
Or you do breakdowns, right?
I do breakdowns. Yeah, I used to do trailer reactions, but I can't be bothered with fighting copyright on trailer reactions. So I feel like if I do trailer breakdowns, I don't have to show the trailer and the breakdown. I can just show like snippets of it or still images of it. So I tend to do the breakdowns. Plus, my trailer reactions are rubbish because I see people doing this in trailer reactions. Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh Jesus, dude. But I just sit like this.
Yeah, you just watch it.
Yeah, people are like,
trying to soak it all in.
Yeah, they're like, why are you doing a trailer reaction and you're not moving? So I'm like, well, that's how I react. I just sit there. So yeah, I think my trailer breakdowns are a little bit more entertaining than me just going.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the other side of it where people pause like every 5 seconds. Well, hold on, I gotta run that back, and it's just like,
I know, just play the trailer, then run it back later. Yeah. So there's no good way of doing a trailer reaction. I think if you're good at reactions, continue to do them. There are people out there that do really good trailer reactions, and they're natural at doing that. I'm not. I can't even fake it. I can't put it on because I know in my own heart that I'm over exaggerating, so I can't do it.
Yeah, you got to be yourself for sure.
Yeah,
and I think that like you're saying, doing an actual breakdown, you get to show off your skills as an attentive audience member, and someone that knows what the hell's going on.
And like Jamie said, F the trolls. I feel like I might start speaking American for a few videos to see how I get on.
You'll just do a fake accent. You'll just do an American accent.
Yeah, but hey, y'all, this is Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards.
Do you think that it's people that are so young that they just think it's funny to say that? Because whenever I see those, I'm like, a part of me is like, I think that some of them just want the reaction because they know that they see that you're going to react, because they all say the same thing. And again, I grew up in Alaska. I've been able to understand you ever since I started watching you almost 10 years ago. So
I genuinely don't think they're doing it. I don't think they're doing it for a reaction because anybody who does it, they're new to the channel. So I don't think they know about previous trolls. I think they just genuinely hear me and go, what is this? Like, I don't think they've quite understood that people from Scotland speak English, but with a Scottish accent. I think because I watched a video on YouTube where people are talking about Scotland, and no offense to you guys in America, but people thought like Scotland was in. People thought people from Scotland spoke Norwegian, and they were asked to pull out the Scotland flag, and they were showing the French flag and stuff. Like, this is the Scottish flag, I think, and they're showing the France flag. And I'm like, what? Like, do you not go to school? I don't know. So yeah, I know that not all Americans are like that. Like you said, you understand me. And I know that most Americans know that Scottish people speak English and not Norwegian. So it's just a small group of people just don't understand.
I guess like for the English speaking countries in the world, if you are from America, Yeah, maybe a Scottish accent, depending on where they're from, is one of the more like wild sounding accents.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's indiscernible. You know, like yeah, maybe it's easier to understand somebody that's just from London or you know, Ireland or whatever. But it's like to me, it's all just sort of I don't know. I'm fascinated by accents. Like
Same. Yeah, I love
I think
accents.
I think they're really, really interesting and especially when you're speaking the same language, but it can sound so different. Like people in like Aussies and New Zealanders, the Kiwis, you know, almost every vowel is like an I down there. Almost every one. They're like I listened to this band called the Beths from Auckland, New Zealand, and at their shows they're like, "Hi everyone, we're the Beaths," and I'm like, "The Beaths is how they say the Beths."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that's an interesting little thing, or you know, sometimes it sounds like there's extra syllables there just because of the pronunciation. I don't know. Anyways, we don't have to harp on it, but I love watching you take down the trolls.
Even in Australia, like even in the US, like you guys in Australia, everyone's got a different accent in Australia. You've got, let's say, you've got an Australian from the West Coast. I think they'll say "G'day, mate,"
Mm-hmm.
and someone from the East Coast would say "G'day, mate." So "G'day,
Sure.
mate," "G'day, mate." So it's two different accents, but the same country. It's the same with Scotland. My accent is the easiest to understand, believe it or not. In Scotland, you've got Chookters, they call them up north. They've got the thickest Scottish accent that even I can't understand. But
Yeah.
so you're lucky to listen to me because you can understand me, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing too. Is like, yeah, even regionally. I mean, shit. Like in this country that I live in, it's so huge. Like the size of the country is so massive, and there's all sorts of accents. I mean, I think of myself as just having a typical West Coast accent. It's almost like no accent at all. It's very like flat.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's there's all sorts of different Southern accents. There's like the sweet syrupy Southern, and then there's more of the yuck 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 kind of Southern. And then New York City, like just New York City in and of itself has like 3 or 4 different accents, just in, you know, one metropolitan area. It's, I guess, kind of like in London, I would imagine. Yeah, you've got different accents in that area as well. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff. God bless the trolls for trying to break through. They never will. You kick their ass every time, Barry.
Never win. They never win. I don't let them win. And again, I think some people would crumble with trolls, but I enjoy trolls. I'm interested in what the trolls are thinking. Like sometimes I'll try and get into a conversation with them. I'm like, what are you thinking of when you're typing? Like, do you try to hear the Scottish accent in your accent? Because if you do, you're going to fail miserably. So by admitting to me that you don't understand me, you're admitting that you don't understand English. So the joke is on you and not me. So there you go. And then they don't get back to me. So
yeah, I saw the one the other day where the person was saying like, you don't pronouns your word.
Yeah,
words.
Like,
we're saying pronoun.
Said it twice as well. Pronouns. I'm like, pronouns my words. What?
Like so even when you're like when the troll is typing, they can't even be understood. That's even worse, right?
None of them can spell. You can't spell. They're awful at spelling.
Yeah.
Bad grammar.
Well,
bad
shoot. Yeah. This has been awesome, Barry. I know, you know, I've been fortunate enough to pop on over to your channel a couple times. I think this is the first time. This is the first time you've been over here, though. I think
it is. Yeah, it is.
I think so. So, yeah, and you know, again, just something that years ago when I was too chicken shit to start my own channel, little did I know that I could get something going and be able to, you know, collaborate with somebody that had such a big part in you know, inspiring me and getting me really pumped on just being able to talk about movies. You know, it was you and Lee from Drum Dums and of course Dave McCrae that made me realize like, hey, whenever I'm around people in real life, I want to talk about movies. Clearly I have something to say, and these guys have shown me that like you can just get on and put yourself on camera and just talk about what you have to say and show your passion. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, man, this has been a blast. We'll get you back on once Final Destination Bloodlines has come out, and I know what you did last summer has been released, and we'll see how good our predictions were.
Yeah. with going on to like YouTube and talking about movies, it just shows the dedication for me tonight with a flat tire, trying to get to the house to do this live stream because I wasn't going to miss it for the world. So again, thanks for having me on, and it's an absolute blast. And it's good to see your channel kind of flourish. You know, when you started out doing your live streams, you were always looking at your like the numbers of people in your chat and going, oh, we've got a few people in. Now you don't worry about it. You just let the people chat away, and everyone's always chatting away with each other, with us. And it's good to see your channel just kind of balloon out, and it will just continue to grow as the months and years go by.
Yeah, the community has been amazing. These guys, you know, it feels like every time I go live, I've got that 20 to 30 people that just want to hang out and shoot the shit. And yeah, man, of course, really appreciate you, especially with what was going on tonight, and you know, being able to hop on here. And yeah, you've got that dedication. You didn't let. They say never meet your heroes, people, but Barry didn't let me down tonight, so we're all good.
It took me 14 years to get that, so I would say never give up, because it can happen for anybody. It happened from someone from Scotland to get a play button. Never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever get that. So I would say to anybody who does a YouTube channel, whether they feel like it's going downhill, whether they think they're going nowhere with it, if you're passionate about what you're talking about, which you clearly are, then continue on, because it'll work out.
Yeah, and it's all about the long haul. Like if you're not in it, if you're not doing this for the right reasons, if it's just about the clicks and the views and the subs and not the quality of the content or being yourself, then I've never been a phony baloney kind of guy. It's probably one of the reasons why I got into punk rock and horror to begin with, is because I sort of liked the real deal and the tougher path and all that. And I predicted, I think it was probably right around this time last year, I was like, Barry, you're going to hit 100K before the end of 2024. Because you were somewhere 80-ish or something like that, I think, this time last year.
I thought I would as well, but
yeah, of course, you don't want to put the cart in front of the horse or anything like that. Yeah, but everybody, you guys in the chat have been amazing tonight. Thank you so much for kicking it here with us, talking about some 90s and early 2000s horror film resurgence that we've got going on here. Don't forget to like the stream if you haven't done that already. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to share the channel with somebody who you think would dig this kind of content that we're doing over here. Of course, check out Wolfman's Got Nards. I would imagine everyone in the chat's already subbed over there. One of the 100,000 strong and growing over at Wolfman's Got Nards. And if you're watching after the fact, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about these. You know, I know what you did last summer, Final Destination Bloodlines. And also let us know, maybe there was some 90s or early 2000s horror that we missed that you'd like to see have a resurgence. So put that down in the comments below. Huge shout out to the Patreon members and the channel members as well, and our amazing Death Squad mods, keeping everything clean here today. Luckily, we didn't have any trolls. Maybe we'll have some in the comments. That might be fun. But yeah, you'll have to keep an eye out for it, Barry. But yeah, really appreciate you guys so much. I know I say this every time, but I love you guys. You know, everything that y'all do for the channel, and you show up here, you show up for each other, we support each other, we lift each other up. The side conversation, like Barry was saying, and engaging with us here in the chat as well. Like, you guys fuel everything that we do here at the channel. If it weren't for you, it would just be me speaking into a camera pathetically, and Barry probably wouldn't have come on the channel if it was just me and not you guys. So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. We will be back. So once these movies are out, set your calendars for maybe July or August, and Barry and I will be back. And maybe in between now and then, maybe you'll see me pop on over to his channel. You never know. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Barry, all the best to you and your family, man. Hope you guys, you know, are having a good 2025 thus far. Say hello to the wife and kids for me, of course.
Will do.
And yeah, guys, I'll be back here later on in the week. So he's been Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards, and I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.